The hardest part of any war is not the first shot. It is breakfast on day 10, because by then the explosions have faded and the urgency of the initial assault has been replaced by something far more dangerous: uncertainty. The battlefield is no longer defined by movement but by what is missing. Supplies begin to thin out. Communication becomes strained. And the question is no longer how to win, but how to continue. We have already seen the power. The United States Navy dismantled an entire network of military capability. Warships were destroyed, radar systems eliminated, and production facilities reduced to silence. Every major naval threat was removed from the equation. On paper, it looks like complete dominance. And yet the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. More than 3,000 vessels sit motionless across the Gulf. Oil tankers wait without direction. Cargo ships remain anchored, unable to move. Global trade slows to a crawl and the economic impact grows larger with each passing day. No American ships have been lost. No battles have been lost. Every engagement has been successful, and still nothing moves. Because the real question was never about the first battle. It was always about what comes after. To understand this, we need to change how we think about war. War is not a single event. It is a sequence that unfolds over time. The first day is defined by speed and force. Marines land on contested islands. Positions are taken. Objectives are secured. Everything happens quickly with precision and coordination. But that phase does not last. The second day introduces a different kind of challenge. The objective is no longer to capture territory, but to hold it. And holding territory requires something far more complex than firepower. It requires sustainment. Every Marine on those islands depends on a continuous flow of resources. Ammunition must be replaced. Fuel must be delivered. Equipment must be repaired. Food and water must arrive on time. Medical support must be available immediately. These needs are constant. They do not pause. They do not wait. And the environment makes them incredibly difficult to meet. The islands are isolated with no ports, no roads, and no infrastructure capable of supporting sustained operations. At the same time, the surrounding waters are filled with mines, creating a barrier that prevents conventional ships from approaching safely. So the problem becomes clear. It is not about how to attack. It is about how to survive after the attack. This challenge is not new. History has already shown what happens when logistics fail, even after a successful assault. In 1982, during the Falklands War, British forces landed on contested territory and secured their initial objectives. The operation was considered a success. Troops were in position and control had been established. But the situation changed in a single moment. A missile struck the Atlantic conveyor, a container ship carrying helicopters that were essential for moving supplies across difficult terrain. Those helicopters were not optional assets. They were the backbone of the logistics system. When they were destroyed, the consequences were immediate. Supply movement slowed dramatically. Ammunition distribution became inconsistent. Troops could no longer be resupplied efficiently across long distances. What had been a coordinated operation began to lose momentum. The campaign did not fail, but it came dangerously close. Not because of enemy strength, but because of logistics disruption. Now consider the Strait of Hormuz. The environment is even more restrictive. The space is narrower. The threat is constant. And the margin for error is significantly smaller. This is where the real challenge begins to take shape, because sustaining a force is not just about delivering supplies. It is about delivering them continuously under pressure and without interruption. A Marine battalion consumes resources at a constant rate. Ammunition is used faster than expected. Fuel is burned daily. Equipment wears down under operational stress. Injuries occur, requiring immediate medical attention. These needs cannot be delayed, they cannot be reduced, and they cannot be ignored. At the same time, traditional supply methods become unreliable. Ships cannot safely navigate through minefields. Aircraft cannot carry enough weight to meet the scale of demand. Fixed supply routes become predictable, and predictable routes become vulnerable. This creates a layered problem, not just how to deliver supplies, but how to deliver them safely, efficiently, and repeatedly in an environment designed to stop exactly that. And under these conditions, even the most powerful military force begins to face limitations, because the battlefield is no longer defined by weapons alone. It is defined by the ability to sustain operations over time. At this point, the question changes. It is no longer about whether supplies can be delivered once. It becomes whether they can be delivered every single day without failure. To understand the solution, we need to understand the scale of the demand. Sustaining a Marine battalion is not a small task. It requires a constant flow of resources moving from sea to shore every single day without interruption. Ammunition is consumed in training, in defense, and in preparation for further operations. Fuel is required not only for vehicles, but also for generators, communication systems, and support equipment. Food and water must be delivered in sufficient quantities to maintain physical readiness. At the same time, equipment begins to degrade under continuous use. Repairs become necessary. Spare parts must be delivered. Medical needs increase as operations continue. The result is a system under constant pressure, and that system cannot rely on occasional delivery. It requires consistency. Air transport provides only a partial solution. Aircraft like the MV-22 Osprey can deliver supplies quickly, but their carrying capacity is limited. They are effective for urgent resupply missions, but not for sustaining large-scale operations over extended periods. The gap between what is needed and what can be delivered continues to grow. This is where a different type of solution becomes necessary. Not faster aircraft, not larger ships, but a system designed specifically for contested environments. The Landing Craft Air Cushion, LCAC, provides that solution. Unlike traditional vessels, it does not rely on direct contact with the water. Instead, it rides on a cushion of air, hovering above the surface. This single design feature changes everything, because naval mines rely on pressure or physical contact to detonate. A conventional ship triggers them. The LCAC does not. Its weight is distributed across air, reducing pressure below the threshold required for detonation. This allows it to move across minefields that would stop traditional vessels entirely. It can approach shorelines without ports. It can land directly on beaches. And it can deliver heavy loads, vehicles, fuel, ammunition, and equipment in a single trip. But its greatest advantage is not just access. It is flexibility. The LCAC does not rely on fixed routes. It can change direction, adjust landing zones, and operate from multiple angles. This reduces predictability. And in a contested environment, unpredictability is protection. Instead of a single large shipment, logistics becomes a continuous flow. Smaller deliveries, more frequent cycles, less risk per movement. And that is where the system begins to shift, from occasional supply to sustained movement. But the LCAC alone cannot sustain an operation, because logistics is not just about movement. It is about coordination. LCAC solves movement, but movement alone is not enough, because logistics is not a single action. It is a system, and that system depends on coordination between multiple platforms operating together. USS Portland provides one of the most critical elements, medical support. It is not just a ship. It is a floating hospital, equipped with operating rooms, surgical teams, and critical care facilities capable of treating severe injuries in real time. This eliminates one of the most dangerous delays in combat operations, the time between injury and treatment. Instead of waiting hours for evacuation, wounded personnel can receive immediate care. And in combat, that difference is often the line between survival and loss. But Portland does more than provide medical support. It also contributes to defense. using advanced systems to detect and eliminate threats such as surveillance drones before they can relay targeting information. Because in modern warfare, information is a weapon, and removing that information reduces risk across the entire operation. Then there is USS Comstock, a ship designed specifically for logistics operations. Its role is not direct combat but sustainment. It carries multiple LCACs, deploys them continuously, and maintains a constant supply cycle between sea and shore. This creates a loop, a system that does not stop. Supplies move from ship to shore, then back again, repeated continuously, day and night, without interruption. What emerges from this system is not just supply, it is endurance. War is not decided in the first strike. It is decided in the days that follow. The side that can maintain its resources, maintain its operations, and maintain its presence will ultimately control the outcome. Because when one side begins to run out of ammunition, of fuel, of support, the result is already determined. The Strait of Hormuz does not test strength alone. It tests sustainability. And in that environment, victory belongs to the force that can continue when others cannot. So what do you think? Is modern warfare still about firepower, or has logistics become the true deciding factor? And more importantly, could future technology solve this problem, or will sustainment always remain the backbone of war? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more detailed, cinematic military breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode.